Call the meeting to order for the Greater Peoria Mass Transit District City Link Board meeting on Monday, February 12th, 2024. Roll call, please.
Trustee Ahart.
Present.
Trustee Sterling Polk.
Present.
Trustee Knox.
Present.
Trustee Hare.
Present.
Trustee McBride.
Present.
Can I get a motion to allow Trustee McBride into the meeting for voting purposes, please? And a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Have it. Next is the roll of Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That's right. All right, next item is the receipt and reading of minutes for the regular board meeting on January 8th, 2024. Everybody's had a chance to look at them, take a gander at them. Any corrections, issues, complaints, questions? Hearing none, can I get a motion to accept as presented?
Make the motion.
Sharon will second. All in favor of approving the minutes as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Nay. Hearing none, ayes have it. The next item, reading and receipt of communications.
We have none tonight, sir.
Thank you, sir. A report of officers and trustees. Board members have anything? Ms. Sharon, anything? Hearing none. And report of standing committees. Ms. Patty?
None.
None? Okay. Ms. Sharon, anything?
Nothing.
Okay. All right, report of the general manager.
Good evening. I just have a few things to mention, and then I'm going to let Shammer do a presentation on some things going on at the transit center. Let's see. Oh, first, you've all met her, Stephanie Sims. Gonna let her come up and introduce herself to everybody. Come on out. I have to say, she started last Monday as a temp, and we hired her on Friday. She hasn't had much training yet, so it's kind of fly by the night, and here we go. She's doing a great job.
Thank you, Doug. My name is Stephanie Sims. I worked at OSF as administrative assistant for about 8 years. I am just very honored to be here. So I would like to thank you all for the opportunity. And let's just get it started.
Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you.
Welcome.
So, the building, they're gonna start moving. I hope I'm not taking any of your thunder, but the maintenance is gonna start moving things over next week. And so in that move, a lot of our mechanics are gonna be doing the move. So we're gonna cut down on some of our trippers. Make sure I get it right. So there'll be about 4 trippers in the morning and 4 trippers in the afternoon. We won't be running because we're going to be short on buses, going to be short on mechanics. Everybody's going to be moving. We hope to have that only be a 3-week situation, but it'll all depend on what's going on by the time we get done. Right now, 7 of our newest buses are kind of spotty. You know, our fleet is aging, it's getting older. We're counting on those buses to run, and then 3 of the electrics, one I saw was running today, and then those hybrids are our next best bus. I saw one of them out. So, and it's not the maintenance, it's the manufacturer. We're having trouble getting parts. There's things that are breaking down in these series of buses all over the country. So we're dealing with it the best we can. We do have the 2 or 10 ordered, and I believe they go into production in March. So we hope to see them in April. We hope to have 5 of them retrofitted, ready to go shortly after they get here. The other 5, we're going to have to take cameras and fare boxes and all the components off the older buses, so they'll take a little longer. What else? Oh, the ribbon cutting. So the ribbon cutting scheduled for April 29th. With your approval, or we'll talk about it, we may push it back. We were scheduling it for the Administrator Fernandez, and she's retiring. So she's done in February, so I really don't have to hold any dates. But we had a couple meetings last week, and we aren't going to see furniture in that new building for probably 4 or 5 months. So it's going to kind of be awkward having an open house with not a lot of furniture. We're going to take some of the older stuff over to keep things going so we can make the move. But as far as making it nice and shiny and pretty, I think we might just wait. So I got to talk to a few people that are out of town this week. Emily's out, Steve's out, and so we'll visit and we'll get back to you on that. Speaking of being out, I'm going to be out the end of this week. I got to go to an APTA CEO conference. And then the end of February, I will be in Chicago for a training from FDA. So with that, I'll turn it over to Shandra. Unless you have any questions.
I got a couple. The information that you have in your report for the IDOT compliance, do we have any dollar and cent amount yet on what that's going to be? And if we do, where are we going to get those funds?
No, we haven't heard back from them yet. I saw them earlier this month, and they didn't give me any indication of when they think it'll be settled. There's other transit agencies in the same predicament as us. So I think they're trying to, last I heard, they're trying to make it equitable for all of us.
Okay.
Depending on what their issues are, I'm sure it'll be something that tolerates all of us.
Okay. Where would those funds come from for us to pay that?
Well, I've got to do some asking because they were supposed to be matched for COVID. So I'm going to see if we can wrap the COVID funding into it because they're taking it away from there, making us use our own funds. So it's like so I'm guessing that's where it'll, if they allow it.
And then my only other question is finalized details for Taiwan. Is that Taiwan, or Taiwan, Pennsylvania?
It is Taiwan.
Okay.
Yeah, Taipei, Taiwan.
I got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
they, I think we're pretty well set on that. The state economic and the local economic are wanting me to go pretty bad to keep us in the running for this new facility. And so it'll probably be the 16th through the 20th of March.
I'm sorry, what organizations want you to go?
Economic development.
Of your economic development?
Yeah,
And
Eric,
who else?
his counterpart, Lenora Fisher,
Okay.
she moved to the state level.
Okay.
And so she's been visiting with me as well. And I bounced it off for the last week. And they're thinking it's a good idea for us to participate. We're actually having a city conference.
Mhm.
And the president for the company said that when he was in Peoria, talked to the city, but the mayor about it. And so I'm going to visit with her to see about things she wants me to participate in over there.
Okay, last question. Are they helping pay for this, or is this a city link expense?
It'll be a city link expense. It can be reimbursed. They did offer to give $1,000.
Okay.
Local, the local.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
Really, yeah. I've compared the costs, and it really isn't anything worse than going to conferences at DC.
We'll let
By
that
the
one
time you put in the fee for registration.
Well, we'll just leave it with that. Okay, thank you.
Sounds
Okay.
Good evening, board members. I would like to present the Greater Peoria United District City Link Training Teamwork Activities Update. And if you don't mind, I have my water because I have a little. There we go. Okay. Customer Service Department. So this is down at the Transit Center. We are working on building a work culture that's about teamwork. We have focused heavily on customer service trainings, and we've been doing that for the last 4 months, right after our staff meetings that we have monthly. And then we document everything, and then I pass it over to Kate and HR. We recognize the customer service is also, if it's external, it's also internal. So it's important that we look at internal when it comes to customer service, because the people that we work with are colleagues. We need to be able to provide good customer service with them too, with respect. A lot of organizations and companies, they look at the external standpoint as a, and of course, service is important too, so we look at that as well. But it's important that we have our internal customer service as finest so that we can deliver customer service externally to the people that we serve on a daily basis. Organizational culture. So I have a definition for organizational culture, which is the set of values, beliefs, attitudes, systems, and rules that outline and influence employee behavior within an organization. And so this is what we've been talking about in our training sessions with the customer service team. And in the training session that we just had in January, I said, okay, we're all going to have an assignment. And we can talk about it a little bit more at our next meeting, which will be at the end of February, in our staff meeting and trainings. So I did send them a 2-part question. And the question is, what type of organizational culture do you desire to have in the customer service department with your team members? And then explain why. Because it really doesn't make sense to just say something without explaining why you feel this way so that we can all have a shared understanding. And then from there, we will present our ideas to each other. This allows for all team members to make decisions, because in an organization, it's important to understand that decisions shouldn't just be made at the top. It should be all throughout the organization. And so this way, it allows our team to have some ownership and ideas that they came up with. And then also we will collect the information and then write a charter for our department or plan. Organizational culture is how we work with our internal and external customers. So building a team of trust. As a leader, I believe in allowing employees to interact. We don't work in an organization where this is a factory and people are on the assembly line. I do ask that my team that they step away from the computer. Now I give the disclaimer that always get your work done. You know, that comes first. You're going to definitely keep it professional. At the same time, too, it's important to get to the teammates. It's important to build because there's diverse ideas. People come from different backgrounds, different walks of life experiences, and that's what creates innovation in an organization. So conversations help us to learn from one another. And then also, then you can build bonds of trust. It's hard to have a team if there's no trust. If you look at the world of sports, you have to build trust with your team there as well. Because the people that you're on the field with, they all have different positions, and you have to understand the positions that they play. So even in an organization, you need to do the same thing. So leaders must interact. That's one thing that I do as a leader. I always make sure that I interact with my followers. So I always have conversations one-on-one with followers, and also I interact as a team as well. So create paths for success is important. There's no way that I can create any type of path for success for any of my teammates if I don't understand who they are or where they're trying to go in the organization. So I just make sure that I have those conversations with them. And then I provide encouragement and I listen to them as well. So that's how we're able to build that trust factor. Because it's important for me to know what the conversations to find out where do they want to, where do they see themselves in the organization in the next 5 years. So now that we've talked about the internal activities that we've had at the Transit Center and the customer service department, I can now talk about the Transit Center teamwork external activities as we are working together as a team. It takes a team. Special thanks to CityLink team members that have assisted me with external customer service activities at the Transit Center in the past month. We have Doug Ross, Emily Watson, Linda Patton, Carla Jackson, Khadijah King, Reggie Livingston, Jason Westhaver, and Bruce Pinto. Last two are actually operators. So we just had a experience with Mark Bills. Some students came for a field trip at the Transit Center that was on January 18th. There's approximately 25 students and 5 teachers that came to the school. So talked with them about the operations department and how to use fixed route. And then Linda came and talked to the students about customer service. So she gave a brief presentation and how you would go to the window, use your money to get a bus pass. And then from there, we took the students upstairs. And then they met with Carla. She's a transportation specialist, and she gave a brief presentation about becoming a city their benefit society. And then we talked to the students about customer experience, which we aim to provide good customer experience for our customers. However, when complaints begin, talk about how we make sure that it goes to the proper department. We communicate, we investigate, and then we need to make sure that we are following up with the customer so that they know exactly if it's valid or valid. And then also I talked with the students about public transportation as a career. So I try to plant that seed. So hopefully one day they'll think about CityLink and their experience that they had with us, and they may want to come and work with us. So here are the beautiful, bright students that came to the Transit Center. And they were very smart. And then these are the teachers from Markville. And then right after the tour, they came downstairs and they went on a bus ride. And then I had the opportunity to jump off, but I really should have stayed where they were going. And so the students took a bus ride on the #1 university. And so that was outbound, and they got to insert their own bus passes. And it was Jason Westhaver that actually took them to Chili's for lunch and dropped them off. And then that's why I should sit on the bus. And then they returned to the Transit Center, and Bruce Pinto, he actually was the operator at that time that dropped the kids back off safely at the Transit Center. And then from there, they just went straight to the school bus and left. But we did receive some information on social media, their experience. I won't read everything, but students used their day pass to ride to lunch at Chili's and back. We learned to navigate the bus stops with snow on the ground. That was a challenge and definitely a real life experience. So many smiles on the trip. The CityLink staff, drivers, and other riders made our experience a trip to remember. So that was good. And then we received even more feedback. So we got some more shout outs. Their staff was unbelievably kind to our group. The students that haven't stopped about the trip. And then they also planned future trips with CityLink. So we're excited about that. So now I would like to turn your attention to the importance of our art everywhere, all across our community. There's so many people that are great and talented with this. I'm not, but I'll leave it to the artists. But we plan to bring the arts to CityLink Transit Center. So we have a partnership with CWTC. I've actually been working on this project with our general manager, Doug Ross. And CWTC has agreed to the opportunity, working with Lexi and Amy. They actually even met us at the train. They took pictures of the lobby area and walls that they plan to use. Right, I'll talk to you a little bit more about this. And then also they're talking about doing some sort of art painting on a window so that when the community wants to come and take a look at the artwork, they can take a picture and have a selfie with maybe something on the window. So there's a timeline for execution. This is a one-year commitment by CWTC. We have a transition plan. The transition plan is that we will change the artwork. They will change the artwork out quarterly for us. So it'll be photography and maybe some paintings. And then the first set of artwork will go on display. They said at the end of March, early. So here's a mock-up of the CWTC piece. They do an incredible job. So they've taken pictures of Peoria Heights, Peoria. Looks like even Peoria County. So we're excited about putting their work in that area. And then we will make sure that we use social media so that people will know all about it and come to the transit center. Maybe you might get some more art that way as well. So then another activity that we've had is with the Peoria Police Department. And so I actually attend the coffee and constituents with Councilman Allen. He facilitates those meetings monthly in his district. And I usually give like a brief CityLink update. And then from that, right after the meeting, Chief Secretary came and talked with me and said, you know, I've never read a CityLink bus, and I would like to do that sometime. Talk to the right person, we're gonna make that happen. So the chief came, Assistant Chief Dixon, and Sergeant Hughes. So here we are. That was on January 25th. And so on the day that they came, it was just briefly for a tour and then for a meeting. So they came in and had an opportunity to talk with many of our operators. It's so funny because Andre said that he just saw the chief the other day. He said he's just so personable. And they had a good conversation with him too. And then I came into the customer service office, talked with Khadijah. And then they came upstairs. And then I talked with Carla, our transportation specialist, and then they gave a brief presentation on what it is that they do. And then from there, we entered into my office, and Emily Watson, the director of marketing, she was with us. We had like all these pictures too, so she's with me a lot. And so we just went into my office and we discussed, you know, having a ride with the chief and the police department team. We will pick a couple of routes, the chief and police officers to ride the fixed route buses. I know that the time is very limited, so we're going to do this on one day. It might be an hour or two, but they would like to have fill in some coffee for our customers. They want to meet people throughout the community, and what she said is, I just want to meet people where they're at. And then he said it's important for me to still have fun with them. So that's what we're going to do. So we will use social media outlets from the police department as well as CityLink, and then we'll have flyers that will be terminated when ready to start this activity, which will be at the end of March. So now I bring you to another external activity that has been in the making for quite some time. So a CityLink partnership with PCCEO Head Start. So the Maya's Learning Center closed in 2021, and shortly after we started having conversations with PCCEO because we thought maybe there'd be a great fit for the transit center. So in 2023, we were able to finalize that agreement, and in 2024, So what does this partnership mean? It's community focused. It's community focused because not only do we deal with public transportation, so we deal with the public on an everyday basis, but it's community focused and it makes a good connection with this partnership because PCCEO, they're about family. And we're serving those families throughout the community as well. So we have shared clients because a lot of the families are using our transportation system just to get to PCCO Head Start. Then also we have some strategic components are the ones that are actually helping us in our community. Our partnership with PCCEO has accomplished the following: economic development. It was a vacant property in the downtown area, and what did? We filled it right in the transit center. Education. We provided education in the downtown area for birth to 5 years old. Workforce development. PCCEO is now hiring teachers right at that facility that's at the transit center. PCCEO.org if you know somebody that is a teacher or is a teacher looking for a job. And then healthcare. I actually talked to the site director at the Head Start site at the transit center the other day, and she said we have medical doctors that come in and they actually do hearing tests and also vision tests with the children at the facility. And she said, so we provided that right in the downtown area on site, and also transportation that we are providing to the community. So we have just now created that system. So here we are on February 5th at the ribbon cutting ceremony. It took a while to get there because the weather was really bad, so we had to cancel it a couple of times, but we finally got there right on February 5th. The weather was good. And so we had cookies that were made by Trusters with the CityLink logo and PCCEO. And then we took a picture by the CityLink bus that was right at Start. And then also with the new sign that's on our building society. Thank you. Greater Peoria Mass Transit Board members. Doug Ross, City Link General Manager. Emily Watson, Director of Marketing. City Link team members, that's everybody in our organization. PCCEO board members. John Edwards, PCCEO CEO and President. Charles White, PCCEO Head Start Director. PCCEO team members. Joshua Gunn, Chamber CEO, Council President. Peoria Area Chamber team members and our community for your support in this partnership. Are there any questions?
I just have a comment. It was an excellent presentation, but as the Assistant Director of Operations, it seems to me that you're doing a lot of PR work which falls under the marketing aspect versus responsibilities of the assistant operations, because you are working with the drivers as well, correct?
Yep.
And as well as the CSRs. So, I mean, I would have liked to have seen more about what your program is as far as helping the CSRs become a team, and what activities you're really having with the drivers. Not that this wasn't an excellent presentation, and it's great that all of that is being done, but I just focus needs to be somewhere else. That's just my own personal opinion. So, but
Good. Any other questions, comments? Good. Thank you, Sharon. Excellent job. All right, next item is a new facility update. Beth.
Good evening. So we have had a lot going on. Ameren has set the new code from the the front of the entrance. This is a huge deal. Once the A&J finishes their portion of the work, and Ameren can come back and turn on and they have permanent power, hopefully in the next few weeks. Western installed the canopy metal and RT screens. Glass installed the nano wall, which is on the third floor there. A&J again pulling wire at the generator docking station. So exterior stuff is moving along very well. A&J installing the panels on mezzanine, which again will help with permanent power. KCOM's working on the fiber and the existing admin. So all of that's a big key to this next phase is all the power up. Right Way installing hard lid at 3 Seasons in boardroom and starting taping and finishing the boardroom. The elevator 1 and 2 has been installed along with door frames and controls. We still have a delay on the electrical harness. So that at the end here. Carpet weavers, it's exciting. Finally started seeing some carpeting going in on 3rd floor. River City construction, ice machines were delivered. We've been moving existing parts washer over and clean storage, tool storage area. We also continued with door and hardware installation along with signage in the field that goes between the admin and the maintenance section. Okay, so this wasn't originally in the packet, but we added it in. So overall phases were 79.0 construction complete. Build and rebuild 34 so far. And the other payout will be submitted at the end of this month. The big piece to this is, so phase B, I've had it at 77 only due to the elevators wrapping up 2nd and 3rd floor. Not too much left to do up there, but again, power and elevators is a big thing. Our hope is that we can see those electrical components coming sooner than later. They were supposed to ship the bid. We got an email the other day. That's all going to be contingent on when we hand over phase B. So we are going to, once they get their move, as Doug had mentioned, we're moving into the south building, working on some of that demo and things that we can do prior to getting over on 2nd. Questions? I know everyone's wanted the hand over, but patiently waiting. Thank you.
Thanks. All right, next item is report of the Transdev General Manager. Saying
I'd like to start by saying my new regional vice president, Mr. Scott German, I apologize, is here just to meet you all and say hello. He's been making his rounds through his new region, trying to give us some advice and assistance to try to continue to improve our service. As you can see in the report, our on-time performance is not great. We are significantly short-staffed. I am at this point looking for at least 10, if not 15 new drivers. Unfortunately, we've had a lot of great we had a lot of applications. Not all of them have come to fruition. And unfortunately, we did have to release some individuals who did not continue to pass qualifications for various reasons. So last month, we did have 3 accidents. They were all non-preventable. 2 of them, as you can see in your packet, were passengers who decided to start moving toward the exit before they should have. I want to praise my drivers on those 2 especially because they did everything perfectly to try to assist those passengers and make sure that they were okay. Fortunately, there was no injuries because the drivers acted so fast to take care of that. So I do want to praise them. Other than that, we've just been doing the usual with routine updates with Ms. Shamra. She's been up to our site several times. We're attending all the job fairs that are in town that we can get to. The Riverplex one, we have one coming up here, I believe in less than 2 weeks. We attended the job fair, I'm sorry, and we're constantly working on trying to find those individuals. We also are seeking a dispatcher as well, that maybe a dispatcher / scheduler. Outside of that, we're working with Ecolane. We think that there's some issues regarding some of the timings. They use Google Earth, and which normally you won't have a problem with. But we're looking at some of, especially on some of the rural routes, there's some things that we need to look at to try to tighten up because they're not accurate. So we're working on that. So some of our on-time performance, most of it, frankly, is accurate. But some of it, I think, is the system not calculating correctly. So we need to have some more discussion with Ecolane and our corporate technology performance folks on that. Outside of that, everything else is in front of you, but if you have any questions, be happy to answer. And I would like, even though I'm going to put this in the next month's report, I want to say the Night to Shine event was fantastic. We really, really enjoyed that. I had 3 drivers plus a helper available for that. I was there with it. Unfortunately, half of our riders that we were expecting did not go because they got sick. So that was very sad because they were very upset about that. But those who did go had a wonderful time. The CityLink staff who attended was phenomenal. And I got to say, my drivers are pretty phenomenal too. We had a really good time. The participants were wonderful. And I really thank you for letting us be a part of that. And that's all. If you have any questions at all?
Question on the starting wage. Do you think that is a limiting factor for why people don't want to?
Yes, our starting wage, when we took over the contract, it was 15, and then went to 16, and now as of January, as of December 1st last year, it's now 16.64. That has helped bring more individuals in, and one of the things that Scott is going to be working with me on is seeing what we can do to make other adjustments. We do have a referral bonus for those individuals that are currently with us who bring on additional people. And we're looking at seeing what kind of creative ways that we can bring more people on board. But with the new union contract, it was a higher wage, more PTO, personal time off, sick time, and things like that. So there's some things that are not wage related, but are still, okay. We have several individuals that after they have left, they have tried to come back because it's actually it's not where we want everything to be, but it's not, there's a lot of variations. But yes, I agree. We need to look at some creative alternatives as well.
Thank you, Angela.
Thank you, sir.
Next item, any comments from the public?
Yeah.
Thank you. Any old business? Any new business? Resolution 2420, recommendation to update Title 6 policy.
This came about during our IDOT review and found out it was out of date. So it was supposed to actually be brought in December, I guess. Whereas the Greater Peoria Mass Transit District, in compliance with Civil Rights Act of 1964, Title VI, must ensure that the Federal Transit Administration, FTA, federally supported transit services and related benefits are distributed in an equitable manner with no discrimination on the grounds of race, color, or national origin. And whereas the FTA requires submission of a Title VI program pertaining to urbanized areas with population of 200,000 or greater, that includes data collection, public participation procedures, system-wide standards and policies, monitoring procedures, and complaint procedures. And whereas the Greater Peoria Mass Transit District is required to submit a Title VI program to the FTA every 3 years, with the last Title VI program submitted and approved for 2020 to 2023. And whereas it is the intent of the Greater Peoria Mass Transit District to adopt the 2023 to 2026 Title VI program with subsequent submission to the FTA. Therefore, be it resolved by the Greater Peoria Mass Transit District, Board of Trustees of the Greater Peoria Mass Transit District hereby authorizes and adopts the Title VI program, that the general manager of the Greater Peoria Mass Transit District or his designee is hereby authorized to provide such information as may be required to submit the Title VI program to the FTA. Adopted today. There were a few things that they changed. Shannon will be the Title VI administrator, I guess. We did do some updates on our website, on our translations to Spanish, and then we're also looking at some other Asian dialects that are high in population in the Peoria area and how we take care of that segment. Other than that, I don't think there were a whole lot of changes, updates to the map. That was about it.
Questions?
Of course. I read this. It's a great document, but some of these things in here, I need to know, are we really doing? You know, I mean, it looks great on paper. And the other thing is you have individuals' names in this, and this document is to last until 2026. We don't know who will be where and what positions in that. So where it has your name and Shamra's, I feel it should just be general manager and the assistant
And I would agree with
operations
you.
manager.
And FTA doesn't.
Okay, they want names in there?
They
Okay,
want names and people specifically that they can contact.
okay,
So
then,
then whenever people move on and change, then we have to bring it back to the board for.
got it, okay, okay. Then my only other thing is it talks about that the actual form that people use has been updated to include Spanish. Have we done anything in regards to Spanish in our actual writer's guide that we have? And have you decided to print some of the writer guides and not just have everything online?
I don't know that we've printed them. I know we updated the Spanish version recently. But typically we print upon request. So if somebody wants something printed in Spanish.
She just placed an order last week to print new ones.
Okay,
And we also planned some county link writers guides.
okay, thank you. That's it.
Any other questions? Hearing none, can I get a motion to approve resolution 2420?
So move.
A second, Ms. Sharon. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Ahart,
Approved.
trustee Poe,
Approved.
trustee Hare. Approved. Trustee McBride,
Trustee approved.
trustee Knox approved.
Motion passed. All right, next item, the resolution 24-21, recommendation to approve new DBE liaison, you know what I mean. Thank you, thank you.
So whereas the Greater Peoria Mass Transit District is an agency that provides economic, social, and environmental benefits to the community through progressive customer-focused transportation services. And whereas the Greater Peoria Mass Transit District has established a disadvantaged business enterprise DBE program in accordance with regulations of the U.S. Department of Transportation 49 CFR Part 26. And whereas the Greater Peoria Mass Transit District has received federal financial assistance from the Department of Transportation, and as a condition of receiving this assistance, the GMPTD has assigned an assurance that it will comply with 49 CFR Part 26. And whereas the Greater Peoria Mass Transit District wishes to designate Shamar Robinson as Assistant Director of Operations as its new DBE liaison officer and to be responsible for implementing all aspects of the DBE program. Now therefore be it resolved by the Greater Peoria Mass Transit District that the Greater Peoria Mass Transit Board of Trustees hereby authorizes Shamar Robinson, Assistant Director of Operations, to become Greater Peoria Mass Transit District's designated DBE liaison officer that the general manager of the Greater Peoria Mass Transit District is hereby authorized to designate Chandler Robinson, Assistant Director of Operations, as its DBE liaison officer. Adopted today.
Questions?
I'm sorry. What actually does the DBE actually do? I mean, I was thinking that this would come into play when we're doing, when we're asking for bids and that sort of thing. But is this, tell me how this really works.
We advertise for projects and we reach out to DBE vendors to participate in any projects that we have that can meet our goal. One thing we're going to do is, I think in March, yeah, the city's having a DBE showcase, if you will. So we're going to participate in that. But yeah, every year we show the vendors what kind of projects we plan on having in the next year. I forget how many we had participated last year. 10 maybe?
Yeah, and the liaison is required, we have to have one. As procurement, I cannot be the TP
That was my next question.
But,
Okay.
so Sherman's gonna take over that position and I'll be showing her what she has to do. We have semi-annual reporting. We are required to do an annual outreach. We typically do it in May. And what we will do is reach out to any DBE that we can find. There is an online site that everybody who is registered as a DBE is on there, so we can utilize that for our outreach. And then in March, the city invited us to attend. It's a program that they're having after hours at the Civic Center. And Shamra and I will be attending that to kind of tell them what projects are coming up and some of the activities. And Shamra is also will be responsible. She's the main point of contact. So if there's an issue that a DBE feels like they're not being represented, it's going to be her position to step in and be a middleman and make sure that we are treating them, and also the prime contractors are treating them in the best ability. So she does have to do an actual outreach, and it is a requirement.
Okay.
Who else? Who filled the role previously?
That was my question. And I hate to keep going back to her title, but it seems that you're giving her things that don't necessarily, and I know you can, as general manager, you can assign whatever you want. But my concern is by you giving her all these other different things that she's been doing, it takes her away from working with the operators and with her staff that she has at the transit center.
Yeah, when Shamro took this position, she was actually filling in for 3 people. So she is spread pretty thin, but we didn't have anything. There were 3 positions that really weren't, I didn't think they required full-time people.
What were those?
Andy Dwyer, mobility manager, Joe Alexander, our planner, and then Joel, our former AGM of operations. So I kind of, when we lost all 3 of them, the parts were just kind of floating around, and we just kind of created a position that could be used for all 3 of them. Now, yes, in your respect to operations, Paige and I have had some discussions on, we may have to take a different approach on how we fill some positions over there.
All right.
Any other questions from the board? Can I get a motion to accept resolution 2421 as presented? Second. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Ayard,
Approved.
trustee Bolt,
Approved.
trustee Hare, approved. Trustee McBride, Trustee McBride. Trustee Knox approved.
Motion passed. Next item, request to approve the updated GPMTD bylaws.
This came about after kind of looking at the bylaws, and after we got rid of the management contract, there was really no structure for the general manager. So this is what I came up with. I actually looked at other properties, bylaws, and put this together. Trustee McBride looked at it first. Trustee Ahart looked at it as well. Brought it to the board for your thoughts.
Ready? Okay.
Really?
First, in all of my years on boards, I have never had the staff bring to the board changes in the bylaws. I understand what you're saying about the general manager, but usually bylaws are for the directors or trustees, and those are the actual job descriptions that are there. I don't like any of this particularly. It makes me feel that you guys are trying to restrict in some form or fashion what the board can and cannot do. So, and as I said, I have an issue with you bringing this to us totally. But I'm flabbergasted, really. My particular, I mean, the general manager is not part of the board. So I'm not sure why you think that that job description, because that's what it really is, the job description needs to be in the bylaws. That's number one. Number two, I mean, all of this stuff that you're telling us that you're adding into this, I don't like. So that's more of a statement than expecting you to say anything about it, but that's where I stand on it. And I could be the only one.
My issue, I wasn't reading this as well. My issue is a little bit different. For one, this packet didn't come out until the end of the day on Friday, right? And that wasn't an appropriate enough time to even review this stuff because normally it comes out ahead of that. So I had no time to even review it. So before I even went, I didn't get into it. I knew they needed more time than just to get it from Friday till now.
My apologies. I thought Melinda sent it out to you shortly after the last meeting so that you'd have enough time for review.
So I haven't had time to review, so I can't make any of the other comments, but I would not.
I didn't expect a decision tonight
Okay.
anyway. I just wanted to get it out there, and I had thrown it out there, and if I overstepped my bounds, I apologize.
Okay.
Any other board members, did anybody else review it?
I thought it was a little, I mean, it did seem to limit the authority of the board somewhat, or shift more weight to the GM. Especially like the section 4 where it says the general manager shall establish and maintain a personnel org chart or table with position classification. I don't know if that means you know, we don't have input in that. Maybe it does mean that, but it just seemed a little harsh, I guess you could say.
I guess we've been in places where the board has participated in picking different employees, and it hasn't always gone well. So I guess if you are going to set of parameters for certain positions, then I'd like to see what those parameters are and how you're going to maintain it. Because the fact is that all 4 of you will change, and then another board will come in, and then you never know what's going to be up next, just like I'm going to change. So it's always a moving target on what we're going to have here, folks. So I think it's in the best interest of future boards and future GMs, we've got a framework that we can all work from. And that was my intention, not for me. I'm trying to protect the next guy. Give him some basis of what he's doing for you guys. So maybe it didn't come off like that. Right now, there's nothing, we have nothing that says what I'm supposed to do.
And I didn't have a problem with the description of what you said you were going to do. Well, some of it about the $50,000. I mean, that I didn't like because we might change that amount, raise it, lower it.
Right.
But I'm just saying your job description should not be in the bylaws for the trustees. You can have that, and it's great that you came up with that because it is a good description of what the general manager does, but it just does not belong in the bylaws. I don't think.
Yeah, and since we've lost the management contract, my job description is nowhere. So we'll have to point to where it's at. And
Why would it be any different? I mean, okay, we have HR. HR should have a job description for every
Right.
position that we have.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm not understanding why you think that needs to be someplace else other than just part of HR and be any other position like we have. I mean, we wouldn't put the AGM in there. See what I mean?
a little bit, but not,
Okay,
I mean,
well, that's okay. I just don't think it needs to be there. It can be somewhere, but just not there.
I agree. Can I ask our HR's opinion on this?
So we
That was
have,
me asking.
we have a job description.
Good.
I believe Doug, helped me create it. So, it could probably be more specific.
Do most bylaws have the job description of the general manager in them? It's clear that there's some questions about the board, and I know at least two of the board members have expressed that they haven't had time to look at it. So can I get a motion to table the request to approve item C?
So moved.
Give me a second. So we'll table that and bring back, the board's had a chance to review it, answer questions, ask you questions, HR questions, where they need to ask. Thanks, sir.
sounds good.
Next item, the financial report, January 2024. Ms. Sherry.
Good evening, everyone. Looking at the financial report, to summarize the January 2024 financial activities, our total monthly operating expenses were roughly 2.3 million, which represents 5.81% of the annual budget. This percentage is 0.90% less than the monthly projections. Everything looked pretty consistent. That's normal. The only thing I wanted to mention, you would note that the casualty and liability are slightly higher in the month of January than previous months. And that's attributable to a couple of Gallagher Bassett workers' comp invoices. Those invoices total roughly 119,000. The transaction volume is normal. I didn't see any spikes or anything that was out of the ordinary. With regards to our capital expenditures, they were a little lower than normal, at just over $700,000. However, the next pay app number 32, which will be paid later this month, I'm anticipating will be closer to the normal amounts. And also, there were no Muller and Muller invoices received in the month of January either. That concludes the finance report at this time. Do you have any questions? Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, I do.
Go ahead.
When I was going through this, there's two expenses for Doug that are in two different places for the same amount. And the same thing, they're $316.40, and the other one is $310.50. And your pages aren't numbered, so I can't tell you exactly where it is, but they're two entries for the same thing. Is that,
Just offhand, that sounds like some sort of staff or travel training reimbursement. I'd have to look at them.
but is there twice? That's
Huh?
not- Is there twice?
Right, yeah.
Okay,
When I approve all of them, I validate that it's for a separate training activity. So you may see it there, you see it there twice, but I believe it's for two separate travel and training instances that occur.
I'm sorry, but what is here is that they're the same dates and the same amounts.
Same dates.
Same dates, same amounts on two different pages. It's 118 to 122 for the 316.40, and then it's 118 through 122. They were the first says bus. Well, they say the same thing, bus coalition reimbursement. And I understand that you're reimbursing, but I'm just saying you have the same identical items twice. So
Right. Let me look at
Okay.
that. When Ray crafted that, he pulls it from the actual transaction. So no doubt there are two transactions out there. So I would need to go back and look at that actual, both of those transactions.
Okay.
Yeah,
Possibility, just,
will.
possibility the dates are wrong. Is that what you're saying?
Possibly, but I need to look at that, and
okay.
I will do so.
Any other questions? Hearing none, can I get a motion to approve the board packet for, or the financial report for the 2024 January, please? And a second?
Thank you.
Can I get a roll call vote, please?
Trustee Ahart,
Approved.
trustee Pope,
Approved.
trustee Hare, trustee McBride, trustee Knox, approved.
Motion carried. All right, the next item is a executive closed session pursuant to IL 5 ILCS 120-2C, item 1 related to employee matters. We ask everyone to vacate other than the HR manager, please.